In January 2018, New Delhi witnessed the unprecedented sight of the leaders of the 10 member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations being honored as the chief guest at the annual Republic Day parade after a crucial dialogue. Many ASEAN states have strong economic relations with China, despite disputes over such issues as the South China Sea. India would do well to strengthen its links in a wide range of areas with a regional bloc, especially trade, connectivity, and security. Though the ASEAN states have signed up for China's Belt and Road Initiative, many members continue to be wary of their large neighbor because of the territorial disputes and Beijing's trade and security policies, as well as evolution of new groupings such as TPP and Quad. In such a situation, India stands to gain a lot by taking on a greater leadership role in the region, not necessarily to confront China, but to offer an alternative path that could be more attractive to the other countries. Thus, Southeast Asia attains importance in many ways. Southeast Asia or Southeastern Asia is a sub-region of Asia consisting of the countries that are geographically south of China, east of India, west of New Guinea, and north of Australia. Southeast Asia is bordered to the north by East Asia, to the west by South Asia and Bay of Bengal, to the east by Oceania and Pacific Ocean, and to the south by Australia and Indian Ocean. The region is the only part of Asia that lies partly within the southern hemisphere, although the majority of it is in the northern hemisphere. In contemporary definition, Southeast Asia consists of two geographical regions. One is mainland Southeast Asia, also known historically as Indochina, comprising of Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Second is maritime Southeast Asia, also known historically as the East Indies and Malaya Archipelago, which comprises of Indonesia, East Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, East Timor, Brunei, Christmas Island, Andaman Nicobar Islands, and Cocos, that is the Keeling Islands. Taiwan is also included by many anthropologists. Southeast Asia on the whole is one of the best examples of a fragmentary shape and form. That is part of a politics, that is shape of the states. It is this fragmentary shape of Southeast Asia that goes on to have a major impact on the whole of the region as well as the regions adjoining it. Southeast Asia can best be studied from the perspective of its geology, geography, the regional groupings, and anything associated with its current and geopolitics. The mountain ranges in Myanmar, Thailand, and Peninsular Asia are part of the Alpine Belt, that is geologically speaking, while the islands of the Philippines are part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. Both seismic belts meet in Indonesia, making the region a region of a relatively high occurrence of earthquake and volcanic eruption. Geological uplifts in the region have also produced some impressive mountains, culminating in Puncak, Jaya in Papua, Indonesia on the islands of New Guinea, and it is only place where ice glaciers can be found in Southeast Asia. Mayon volcano, despite being dangerously active, holds the record for the world's most perfect cone, which is built from past and continuous eruption. The whole of the region shows some regional grouping. 10 countries in the region are members of ASEAN, a regional organization established for economic, political, military, educational, cultural integration amongst its members. Since its formation on 8 August 1767 by Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, the organization's membership has extended to include Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam too. The second such type of regional grouping is CTTP, that is the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, also known as TPP, it is a planned trade agreement between Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. The negotiations are a relatively minor renegotiation of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was signed on 4th February 2016, but which never entered into force as a result of withdrawal of United States. The TPP itself began as an extension of the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership Agreement signed by Brunei, Chile, New Zealand, and Singapore in 2005. TPP increases the likelihood that Japan undertakes economic reforms to revive its economy, which, coupled with potential South Korean accession to the TPP, might have an economic impact on China. By making the Chinese economy less competitive and Chinese leadership less likely to write the rules of trade in East and Southeast Asia, the Chinese regime will be under great external pressure to liberalize its economy. The third such grouping is called as Quad, or QST. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue is an informal strategic dialogue between the United States, Japan, Australia, and India that is maintained by talks between member countries. The United States pursued a quadrilateral security dialogue in an effort to adapt an increasingly economically powerful China in the Asia Pacific, where great power rivalry, massive military investment, social inequality, and contemporary territorial disputes all have made war in Asia almost plausible. The rise of China and its increasingly assertive behavior in unnerving key Asian states is a major factor. These states lack an internal capacity to balance China's growing economic and military strength on their own. Even when all these states have benefited enormously from Chinese economic rise and continue to do so, cumulatively they have also contributed to China's relative growth and its military capabilities. While it appears to be a good strategy to have a stronghold in the region, it may prove counterproductive for India. India, unlike the other countries, is not a developed one and has still not gained the status of a superpower. The disadvantages for India could be that India could be unnecessarily involved in a US-China rivalry. And rivalry with China will also expose India to criticism from other neighboring countries for seeking external help and involving third parties in the matter. Moreover, it may appear like an assurance for support in case of aggression, but let's see how exactly it goes on to shape up. Now, having discussed the basic introduction about Southeast Asia, its geology, its location, and the regional groupings that it goes on to form, it is pertinent now that we go on to take a walk through it. All the way from India, our walk is in three directions. The first is going to be towards Southwest Asia. The second is going to be towards Southeast Asia. That will go on to transcend its boundaries away from Naga Hills. And the third will be away from the Karakoram region, the Pamir North place. If we move eastward from India, the countries that can go on to be arranged will be Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. Myanmar is bordered by India and Bangladesh to its west, Thailand and Laos to its east, and People's Republic of China to its north and northeast. To its south is an uninterrupted coastline along the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. Arakan Yoma from India continues as a new fold mountain at Indo-Myanmarese border. In the north and the northeast, the border is with the Yunnan province, which has areas of rolling uplands, precipitous folded and fault block mountains ranges, and deep river-cut gorges. It is in this region that stone pinnacles of Luan and Yunnan are exceptional, and these are a sight to behold as they are really, really exceptional. In the north, the Hengduan Mountains form the border with China. Many mountain ranges such as the Rakhine Yoma, the Bago Yoma, the Shan Hills, and the Tenasserim Hills exist within Myanmar, all of which run north to south from the Himalayas. The The Shan Plateau is a crystalline massif forming the eastern part of Myanmar and forming part of the Indo-Malayan system. The plateau is crossed by the deep trench of the Salween River. Peguyuma Mountain is a range of south-central Myanmar which extends north-south between the Irrawaddy and the Sitang River and ultimately ends at a ridge in Yangon or Rangoon. It is in central Myanmar, that is located is Mount Popa. Mount Popa has a stunningly picturesque atop the vertical outcrop in that place. It is one of the most exceptional regions of Myanmar. The mountain chains divide Myanmar's three river systems, which are the Irrawaddy, the Salween, which is also called as Thanbin, and the Sitang rivers. The Irrawaddy River, Myanmar's longest river, flows into the Gulf of Martaban. Fertile plains exist in the valleys between the mountain chains. The majority of Myanmar's population is situated between the Rakhine Yoma and the Shan Plateau. Its major tributary is Chindwin and the main city located on it is Mandalay. It is one of these rivers that is called also as the lifeline of Myanmar. The central basin between Irrawaddy and the Chindwin around Mandalay is very important for wheat and cotton cultivation. The delta region of Irrawaddy and the Sitang is also known as the rice ball of Myanmar. Salween River, one of these longest rivers other than Irrawaddy River, now flows through China and Shan Plateau for about 2090 kilometers into the Gulf of Martaban. This was the physical geographical part of it. The major cities in Myanmar are Yangon, that is Myanmar's capital and country's leading port and main industrial city, and Mandalay, that is located on the left bank of the Irrawaddy River. And an important Buddhist center noted for its monastery and pagoda. Luang Prabang is the third city, which is also called as the city of 100 pagodas. South and east of Myanmar lies Thailand. Thailand is bordered in the north by Myanmar and Laos, to the east by Laos and Cambodia, and to the south by the Gulf of Thailand and Malaysia, and to the west by Andaman Sea and the southern extremity of Myanmar. Its maritime boundaries include the Gulf of Thailand to the southeast and Indonesia and India, Andaman Sea to the southwest. The north of the country is the mountainous area of the Thai highlands. The northeast consists of saucer-shaped tableland called as Khorat Plateau, bordered to the east by the Mekong River. The center of the country is dominated by predominantly flat Chao Phraya River valley, which runs into the Gulf of Thailand. Southern Thailand consists of the narrow Kra Isthmus that widens into the Malayan Peninsula. The Chao Phraya and the Mekong rivers are the indispensable watercourses of rural Thailand. Mekong has extreme seasonal variations in its flow here, and the presence of rapids and waterfalls have made navigation extremely difficult. Its basin is one of the richest areas of biodiversity in the whole of the world. Chao Phraya, on which Bangkok is located, has rich alluvial soil which is used almost entirely for rice cultivation. Other than that, Thailand is going to be known for its canals. Plans have surfaced for a canal which would connect the Andaman Sea to the Gulf of Thailand, which is analogous to the Suez and the Panama canals. The idea has been greeted positively by the Thai politicians as it would cut fee charged by the ports of Singapore, improve ties with China and India, lower shipping times, and eliminate pirate attacks in the Strait of Malacca, and support the Thai government's policy of being the logistical hub for Southeast Asia. Thailand is essentially going to be known for Phuket Islands, which is situated to the west of the Kra Peninsula, and also known for tourist resort of Thailand, which also is known for tin mines as well. Cambodia has a landscape that spans low-lying plains, Mekong rivers, and the Gulf of Thailand coastline. In the country's northwest are the ruins of Angkor Wat, a massive stone temple built during the Khmer Empire. Cambodia's main USP is its environmental problems, particularly the environmental destruction, which is lurking as an imminent problem. The most severe activity in this regard is considered to be the countrywide deforestation, which also involves national park and wildlife sanctuaries. Lake Tonle Sap is located in the central lowland of Cambodia. And Phnom Penh, its capital, has a glittering royal palace and the National Museum's historical and archaeological exhibits. Laos is the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It's one of the Southeast Asian countries that is traversed by the Mekong River and known for its mountainous terrain. Vietnam is the easternmost country on the Indo-Chinese peninsula in Southeast Asia. Vietnam is bordered by China to the north, Laos to the northwest, Cambodia to the southwest, Thailand across the Gulf of Thailand to the southwest, and the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia across South China Sea to the east and southeast region. The northern part of the country consists mostly of the highlands and the Red River Delta. Southern Vietnam is divided into coastal lowlands, the mountains of the Annamite Range and extensive forests. The Red River Delta in the north and the Mekong River Delta in the south have been one of those more important components that form part of it. Once an inlet into the Gulf of Tonkin, it has been filled in over by millions of years of alluvial deposits, and that is why the Mekong River Delta is one of its most fertile regions. Vietnam is known for Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. Hanoi is country's capital in the industrial and commercial center of the north, while Ho Chi Minh City, formerly called Saigon, has a larger urban population. The Mekong flows through all of these countries. All these countries have Mekong River in common. Mekong is the longest river in Southeast and it flows through China, Thailand-Laos border, Cambodia and Vietnam to drain itself ultimately into South China Sea. It enters Asia forming boundary between Myanmar and Laos. In Laos, the Mekong forms the western boundary with Thailand, then moves through the body of Laos and Cambodia, and finally it enters Vietnam from Cambodia. Phnom Penh and Ho Chi Minh cities are located on the banks of the river. Malaysia is the only country with a territory on both the Asian mainland and the Malayan archipelago. Peninsular Malaysia shares a land and maritime boundary with Thailand at the north and maritime boundaries with Singapore at the south, Vietnam at the northeast and Indonesia in the west. East Malaysia shares land and maritime borders with Brunei and Indonesia and maritime border with the Philippines and Vietnam. It is linked to Singapore by a narrow bridge or a causeway of sorts. The land borders are defined in large part by geological structures such as the Perlis River, the Golok River and the Pagalian Canal. Brunei is one of those countries that is almost like an enclave in Malaysia, with the state of Sarawak dividing it into two parts. Sarawak contains the Mulu Caves, which is the largest cave system in the whole of the world, and the Gunung Mulu National Park, which is also a World Heritage Site. These caves are going to be analogous to that of Amarnath Caves, and they are going to be same as that of Vaishno Devi Caves. And of course compare favorably with another of this cave that is called Skulls Bath Cave that is in the United States. Around these two halves of Malaysia are numerous islands, the largest of which is going to be called as the Bungi Island. Kuala Lumpur is Malaysia's capital and is near to the west coast of the peninsula at the confluence of the Gombak and the Kelang rivers. It has seen the convergence city of all of the main roads and railways, and it is also going to be the largest port of Malaysia. Other than Kuala Lumpur, there are other centers as well that are significant. Ipoh is situated in the Kinta Valley, is known for tin mining. Alor Star is the third one, which is a big agricultural center located in the Kedah Plain. Sarawak in Johor supplies most of the world's paper, and Brunei, which is divided into two parts by Sarawak, is a leading producer of oil, has on one hand one of the biggest liquefied natural gas plants. Malaysia has been named after Malaya Dweep, that was in Hindi. Ultimately, it was the Western colonizing powers that gave it a name, that is Malaya and then Asia. Hindi, it was known as Malaya Dweep. Same has been the case with Singapore. Singapore was called by the name of Singapore. Because the British were not able to pronounce Singapore, they called it by the name of Singapore. That's the way they call it. The same way that they called Kanpur as Kanpur. So they called Singapore as Singapore. And since then, it has been in Hindi, this Apabhransh name has been carried on so far. The city, therefore, is going to be, the whole of this city is going to be called as the City of Lawrence. It's a country, it's a city as well, and it's one of those first countries in the whole of the world which adopted liberalization and opening of its economy as the key plank of it. Indonesia is situated between the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. It is the world's largest island country with more than 13,000 islands. The largest, therefore, are going to be Java, Sumatra, Borneo, that is, its boundary is going to be shared with Brunei in Malaysia, Sulawesi and New Guinea, which is shared with Papua New Guinea as well. Indonesia shares land borders with Malaysia on Borneo, Papua New Guinea on the island of New Guinea, and East Timor and the island of Timor as well. Of course, it shares maritime boundaries across narrow straits with Singapore Strait, Malaysia Strait, Vietnam, Philippines, and Palau and Australia in the southern region. Situated in Sumatra, that is one of these islands, is Lake Toba, and it's an example of a crater lake. Bali Islands is in southern Indonesia. It's one of these lesser Sunda islands, which has the largest Hindu population in Indonesia, which is essentially a Muslim country. Bali Island was in news because of Mount Agong. Mount Agong on the Bali Islands has been one of those places in news for its recent volcanic eruption, particularly the cold lava eruption that took place in some phases. Its important cities are Jakarta, which is a country's commercial capital and the chief political center. It is the most important port in Indonesia and handles almost all of imports, which is often reshipped to other domestic ports. Bandung is known more for in geopolitical circles for one of the summit meetings that is non-aligned movement. It's hosted. It is situated in a volcanic plateau and also the world's largest supplier of cinchonine pyrene. Java lies wholly in the southern hemisphere and is separated from Sumatra by the Sunda Strait. Now, imagine this is one aspect that can go on to be taken care of. Java lies wholly in the southern hemisphere. That means that's the more important component of it. And in a similar manner, the other question that can be asked from it that we have been talking about has been associated with Mount Agong because that has been in news. And associated with Mount Agong goes on to be cold lava eruption. There's only one place in the whole of the world which goes on to experience cold lava eruption, and there is one that is Donya Lengai, that is going to be in Tanzania. So these are the topics that go on to form the basis of any question that is going to be that has a likelihood of being asked. Java comprises 1/7 of Indonesia's total area. It is the most important island and home of about 2/3 of the Indonesian. That is the largest number of Indonesians live in this island, and that is what goes on to make it important. Sumatra, that is also called as Andalas, lies in both northern and the southern hemisphere. Now the question that can be framed will be, you will be given 4-5 islands, that is maybe Malaysia, Eastern Malaysia, Sumatra, Java, and you will be asked to name which are these islands that lie completely in the northern hemisphere, completely in the southern hemisphere, lie in both of them. The other is going to be Kalimantan, that is the Indonesian Borneo, which lies in both the northern and the southern hemisphere and is separated from the Celebes Islands by the Makassar Strait. Indonesia, all in all, has some of these things that have been pretty unique in this case. Of course, that will go on to be studied separately as a part of current affairs in geopolitics associated with the straits, the Lombok Strait, the Sunda Strait, and so on. Philippines is situated in the western Pacific Ocean. It consists of about 7,641 islands that are categorized broadly under three main geographical divisions from north to south: Luzon, Visayas, and the Mindanao. Luzon state separates Taiwan and Luzon, that is Philippines, South China Sea with the Pacific Ocean. The Philippines is located on the Pacific Ring of Fire and is close to the equator. It makes Philippines prone to earthquakes and typhoons, but also endows it with abundant natural resources and some of the world's greatest biodiversities. There are many active volcanoes, which include, one of them is Mayon volcano, Mount Pinatubo, and Taal volcano. A more serene legacy of the geological disturbance is the Porto Princess subterranean river, the area which represents an habitat for biodiversity conservation, and the site also contains full mountain to the sea ecosystem and has some of the most important forests in Asia also. Due to the volcanic nature of the islands, mineral deposits are abundant. The country is estimated to have the second largest gold deposits after South Africa and one of the largest copper deposits in the world. Luzon is the largest and the most important island of the Philippines. It's known as the Rice Bowl of Philippines, which also has Mount Mayon. Mount Mayon is the only active volcano of Philippines, which is located on the Luzon Islands. Mindanao Islands is the second largest island located in the southern part of the Philippines. And Mount Apo, dormant volcano in Mindanao, is country's highest peak. Between all of them, Mount Mayon, which is a stratovolcano, is known for its perfect cone, largely because it's almost perfectly conical in shape. It is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, and it is made of basalt and andesite, both of them. While the other one of them is called as Mount Taal. Mount Taal, incidentally, the smallest volcano in the world. Now that goes on to make it again significant. Mount Taal is significant from that angle. The third of this island category goes on to be Andaman Nicobar. Andaman Nicobar are also called as Emerald Islands. They are situated roughly in this region, and the most visible feature of the alignment of these islands is the narrow longitudinal extent that they form. These islands extend from a landform island in the north, that is in the Andaman, to the Indira Point, which is called as the Pygmalion Point. The whole of this island group is going to be separated into two parts, the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. They are separated by a water body which is called as the 10-degree channel. The Andaman Islands are further divided into, that is the Great Andamans, which comprise South, Middle and the South Andaman and the Little Andaman. The Little Andaman again are going to be separated from the Great Andaman by the Duncan Passage. Now this passage, that is the Duncan Passage, is significant here. 10-degree channel is going to be significant because the Andamans in the north and the Nicobars, they are going to be separating it. The Duncan Passage. Andaman Nicobars are actually geologically a continuation of the Arakan Yuma mountain range of Myanmar. Some smaller islands are volcanic in origin. For example, Barren Islands, which is still active, and the Narkundam Islands. Narkundam has a depressed base and a crater in the center. Now it's a dormant volcano and it is almost going to be bowl-shaped in nature, and consequently, as per the defense analyst, it can go on to be a very good place for setting up of a defense base. The Great Nicobar is the largest island in the Nicobar group and is the southernmost island. It is just about 147 kilometers away from the Sumatra Islands of Indonesia. The current affairs and the geopolitics associated with it. One of these hotspots of current affairs in this region is going to be South China Sea. South China Sea is a major body of water within Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia and Singapore, and they have integral rivers that flow into the South China Sea. Spratly and Parsley Islands are a group of atolls claimed by many countries for oil deposits. The South China Sea is one such essential waterway made more important by the value of the sea's fishery and subway resources such as natural gas. But addressing the risk of its near seas means tackling the time-consuming and costly project of building, training and deploying a stronger blue water navy while also establishing a greater maritime buffer along the Chinese coastline. China's assertion of ownership and control over the South China Sea, coupled with the liberal interpretations of its rights within its claimed exclusive economic zone, gives Beijing at least some degree of security. It doesn't go on to talk about its neighbors and neighbors' right, and with neighbors unwilling to directly challenge China's concrete actions in the sea, the United States hesitant to use force to halt Chinese expansion. Beijing and the whole of China is completely reshaping its status quo in a manner that has not been done so far. China claims the entire of the South China Sea through a 9-dashed line, which extends into other countries. An exclusive economic zone of a 200 nautical miles area for exploitation, which can go on to be used and interpreted in any manner possible. China is now building some runaways, army facilities and reclaimed reefs in the Spratly Islands, which go on to be one of those areas of dispute. The whole China Sea is important. Spratly Islands and Parcel Islands, these are the two islands that are significant here, but they have been in current affairs a year back of sorts. China Sea is important now, and that importance will always continue to be, whether this year, 2018, 2019 or even 2020 as well. And the reasons for its significance happen to be: 1. On a strategic level, it's about control of world's busiest shipping route. China is laying claim on 90% of the South China Sea. The second is about half of the world's commercial shipping passes through area of most of the countries, and they are worried if anything goes wrong, it will go on to cripple their economy. That is, South China Sea, Chinese have a complete control and territorial control over it, and that has the potential of crippling its economy. On a geological level, it is about some of the world's most prospective seabed for oil and gas deposits. And on a military level, it's about China's avid desire to push the US Navy out away from its region. Beijing craves uncontested domain over its maritime approaches, and the US is not in a position to challenge it right now in a manner, and it's one of the aims is to counter China is by Quad and TPP. The last is, on a global governance scale, it is about whether there are any rules governing countries or any country can going to go scot-free and they can go to do anything at all. So one of these hot points and flash points in the whole of the region is going to be South China Sea. Other than that, they are going to be choke points. That means these are the type of points which can be used for the purpose of choking the entire of the traffic. One of the best known is going to be that of Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait is a body of water of Southeastern Asia, separating the Malayan Peninsula on the northeast from the island of Sumatra on the southwest, and connecting the Andaman Sea and arm of Indian Ocean on the north with the South China Sea in the south. It is one of the most important thoroughfares in global commerce and a strait of immense strategic significance and a major choke point. The two parts of Malaysia, separated from each other by the South China Sea, share a largely similar landscape in that both Peninsular and East Malaysia feature coastal plains joining rising hills and the mountains of this region. Makassar Strait is a channel separating the islands of Borneo on the west and the Indonesian islands of Sulawesi. The island also connects the Celebes Sea in the north with the Java Sea in the south. The third such strait is the Lombok Strait. The Lombok Strait is a strait connecting Java Sea to the Indian Ocean and is located between the islands of Bali and Lombok, Indonesia. It's also notable as one of the main passages for the Indonesian thoroughflow that exchanges water between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. It is deeper than the Strait of Malacca. That means that is an advantage with it. That is the ships that draw too much amount of water to pass through Malacca often go on to use the Lombok Strait instead. That means some of these type of ships like super tankers, ultra large scale tankers, they are likely to pass through Lombok Strait, and that again goes on to be part of a question. It's an observation based, that is, if it is that some of these bigger ships have to pass, which is the strait through which they are likely to pass? Is it going to be through Malacca or is it going to be through the Lombok Strait? The fourth such type of strait is going to be Sunda Strait. Sunda Strait is the strait between the Indonesian islands of Java and Sumatra, connecting Java Sea with the Indian Ocean. Now these straits are always going to be important for one or the other region, and questions are always going to be asked related to these straits connect which one of them, and these straits separate which one of them, connecting which one of them, separating which one of them. That is what is going to be asked in this place. There are, other than that, going to be a good number of regional groupings found in the whole of the place. One of them is going to be BBIN. It corresponds to some regional architecture for cooperation and is a response to a stagnation of SAARC talks. Is broadly referred to SAARC minus one or two of these countries.
That is, BBIN is a motor vehicles agreement between Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal in a bid to boost trade and sub-regional connectivity among the four countries. The BBIN Pact will also set the stage for a new connectivity paradigm in India's northeast, which is looking for easier access not just to mainland India but also to Southeast Asia, a higher growth area of a continent. There are some operational links that are already visible in this case, and there are some of them that are proposed. For example, some of the operational links that are significant, one of them is Petrapol to Benapol in Bangladesh, Jeed in India to Darsana in Bangladesh, Singhabad in India to Rohanpur in Bangladesh, and some of the proposed of them happen to be Matri Express between Khulna, Bangladesh and Kolkata, Akhora Agartala railway link, Akhora is in Bangladesh, Radhikapur, that is from India again to Birol in Bangladesh, and Karimganj in India to Shahbazpur in Bangladesh. The last is Haldibari in India to Chilhati in Bangladesh. BIMSTEC. The Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, that is BIMSTEC, is an international organization of 7 countries of South Asia and Southeast Asia, housing some 1.5 billion people with 2.5 trillion combined economy, including Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Bhutan and Nepal. The BIMSTEC states are among the countries dependent on the Bay of Bengal. 14 priority sectors of cooperation has been identified and several BIMSTEC centers have been established in these areas. The most remarkable aspect about BIMSTEC is that it's an initiative largely followed in the aftermath of the so-called failure of SAARC, and Pakistan is a notable absentee in this case.
It has taken some individual projects. For example, one of them is BCIM corridor. It's the multimodal corridor which will be the first expressway between Kolkata that is in India, and the coming province of China. It will go on to pass through Myanmar and Bangladesh. It is part of OBOR, that is One Belt, One Road initiative, and India is officially opposed to OBOR as it violates Indian sovereignty.
The BCIM corridor. The Bangladesh, China, India and Myanmar Economic Corridor is an initiative conceptualized for significant gains through some regional economic cooperation within the BCIM. The multimodal corridor will be the first expressway between India and China. It will pass through Myanmar and Bangladesh. These advantages are envisaged to accrue from greater market access for goods, service and energy, elimination of non-tariff barriers, better trade facilitation, investment in infrastructure development, joint exploration and development of mineral, water and other natural resources, development of value in supply chains based on comparative advantages by translating comparative advantages into competitive advantages and through closer people-to-people contact. It is indeed part of OBOR One Belt, One Road initiative. India is officially opposed to OBOR as it violates India's sovereignty. The Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar, that is BCIM corridor, is proposed to link a Kaning province in China to Kolkata through Mandalay in Myanmar and Dhaka in Bangladesh, as you can go on to see from the map.
However, India has joined the BCIM project to improve the connectivity of the northeastern region and India as a whole. The Stillwell Road is the second one, that is between India and Myanmar and China. The Stillwell Road is an ancient route that runs from northeast India through Pangasu in Arunachal Pradesh into Myanmar. Now these names are important. Pangasu in Arunachal Pradesh into Myanmar. At present, India is not engaged in any bilateral discussion with Myanmar on the reconstruction of the Stillwell Road. While there are other projects in which India happens to be a leading country. The most interesting of these projects which can go on to be emerging, is going to be the Trans-Asiatic Highway. Now, this is one of the highways that has the potential and the possibility of linking Singapore all the way through Malaysia and into Thailand, into Myanmar, into Bangladesh, into India, to Pakistan, to Afghanistan, ultimately culminating in Istanbul. That is Trans-Asiatic Highway. Now, the roadmap for all of these things have not been very, very clear. But the day Trans-Asiatic Highway emerges, that will be a day for the whole of the world.
The Kaladan Multimodal Project is a transport project that will connect the eastern Indian seaport of Calcutta with Sitwe seaport to Rakhine State, Myanmar by sea. In Myanmar, it will then link Sitwe seaport to Palitwa, Chin State via the Kaladan River boat route, and then the Palitwa by road to Mizoram State in northeast India. Kolkata to Sitwe port in Myanmar is by ship for 539 kilometers. Sitwe to Palitwa, that is inland water transportation, for 158 kilometers. Palitwa to northeast to Indo-Myanmar border is by road for 110 kilometers, and at the border to NS54, that is Langtal in India, is by road for about 100 kilometers or so. The recent Doklam crisis highlighted vulnerability of the Siliguri corridor, and that is what has made Kaladan strategically very important. Indo-Myanmar Thailand Trilateral Highway. The Indo-Myanmar Thailand Trilateral Highway is a highway under construction under India's Look East policy that will connect Murray, India with Mao South, Thailand via Myanmar. The road is expected to boost trade and commerce in the ASEAN-India Free Trade Area as well as with the rest of Southeast Asia. India has also proposed extending the highway to Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. The proposed route from India to Vietnam is known as East-West Economic Corridor, that is, Thailand to Cambodia and Vietnam, that was to become operational completely in 2015, and it is still so to an extent. India and ASEAN have plans to extend this route to Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, as this connectivity will generate annually.